panic. People are panicking because borders are closed, the rice will be expensive, and they keep buying to keep, and that keeps the price a little bit higher than normal. But I'm sure after the panic, probably immediately after the Christmas or just before the Christmas, the prices will come down and stabilize, indicating that we have enough rice to feed ourselves. So we have to thank the federal government on this. Also, as a policy, agree to discourage importation of staple produce, particularly corn and rice, and this will increase local production, conserve foreign exchange, create jobs, and reduce poverty. And this also has been done. When the federal government stopped the importation of corn, there were all sorts of cry. And for the last year and a half, corn and maize have been selling at between 6,000 to 8,000 naira per bag, compared to the 14, 15,000 that we inherited, which means we are also growing enough for our needs. We also urge the federal government to review the UBEC counterfeit funding requirement to make it flexible enough for states to access the fund easily, and that has been happening, and I think it will take little time because it's a policy issue, and I think it has to even go to the National Assembly. But they are working on it, and I'm sure before the next Parliament, we'll have very good results on this. Then we also remain undistracted on the anti-corruption fight while reinvesting the already recovered stolen funds into strategic development projects, which we have done. The social intervention and investment program should be co-owned by federal and state government, as this will make the program more successful and reach the targeted beneficiaries. I think this has been done with the creation of the new ministry and the participation of states in discussing what they actually need on the social intervention. It's a work in progress, but most of the states have been able to work with the national office to help and support their people, and to see how we work together to alleviate poverty in our land. And most of the states have adopted their own kind of social intervention in addition to that of the national government. Some of the states have, instead of N-Power, maybe P-Power, and instead of the federal government cash transfer, they have their own local cash transfer. And I've seen most of the states are also doing a lot of empowerment. I know in Plateau, there is a lot of empowerments towards helping small businesses to grow, and that has been adopted by most of the states. So those are the 5 issues that were raised in Kogi, and I'm happy and confident to tell you that I can give them 65 to 70% implementation, and I will use this opportunity to thank the federal government and the state for working towards achieving these 5 objectives that were raised in Kogi. So for the next is we take Edo, Governor Edo, who will discuss education for us. He has been doing wonderfully well in the field of education. Massive change in his own education agenda, and it has been proven and supported by the state, the people in the state, and we have started seeing the result of what he has done in the last 4 years on education. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, host governor, my colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. For me, coming here is like homecoming, because I had the privilege of serving youth corps in Plateau, specifically in Jos, many years ago. And so coming back to Jos is like coming home for me. And I want to commend our brother and the governor for the amazing infrastructural transformation which I have seen since I came in yesterday. I'm going to be doing two things. First, talking about the subject of education, both as education and also from our own perspective as part of our parley in this forum. For us in Edo State, what we decided to do was to look at education holistically, to try and fix it at the base. Gleaning from what the Minister for Health said, if you want to deal with a social problem like health or education, your best bet is to go to the foundation, to go to the roots and begin to fix it from the foundation. And so that is what we've decided to do in Edo State by launching what we call the Edo BEST program, which is an acronym for the Edo Basic Education Sector Transformation. This is a holistic transformation of the basic education system. And the key objectives were to ensure that we improve the quality of basic education, to ensure that children in our schools are enrolled, even though we have the lowest out of school population, we still felt that we wanted to take it down to 0. And also to set, about some learning benchmarks and outcomes. The other objective was to ensure that we just don't look at education in isolation. We now begin to look at education as an integral part of society. So education cannot and should not just be the sole responsibility of government, but there must be a lot of community involvement. And the last objective was for us to make sure that the children we produce after 9 years of learning are people who can be self-made, who can, with the education we've given them, can do whatever they want to do in their lives if they don't have the opportunity to further their education. So what we did was to look at the process, the transformation process, from 5 perspectives. First, how do we strengthen the basic education system in the state? What we did was to focus on governance. We looked at SUBEB, and I took a political risk, which I'm paying, part of what I'm paying for now. I removed everybody from SUBEB and then hired a fresh set of staff from within the public service and outside the public service into SUBEB. And the reason why we had to do that was to remove the old culture where people saw it as another creative agency for contract awards and political gifts. So for us, the pillar 1 was to strengthen the system, to make sure that we have a transparent and financially accountable procurement process, and to make sure that the local government education boards were also made responsible. And what have we achieved? We've achieved the digitization of all our records. So today, I can tell you how many children are in all our schools, how many classrooms have tables and chairs or amenities. We've also been able to put in place new policies and guidelines to guide teachers and education. Corporal punishment has been banned in all our primary schools as part of the incentives to attract children to school. There are other forms of disciplinary actions, but definitely not corporal punishments. We've also introduced a lot of planning into SUBEB. And so you can see from the screen, from my office today, I can tell you which teacher is in class, which child came to school on a particular day, and whether a teacher completed their lesson notes for that day or not. So the system emphasizes data gathering, because without data, you cannot plan for your education. Pillar 2 focuses on teacher professional development, and that